All right, guys, in this episode, we're going to talk about burnout, why high-performing executives and professionals burn out, and I'm going to tell you why it has nothing to do with their workload, right? And so, who am I and why should you listen to me? As always, this is Coach Mike Basevic. I'm the founder and creator of the Anxiety-Free Executive and author of the book, The Broken Sage. And in The Broken Sage, I tell you my whole story was that I burnt out 20 years ago and I lost everything. And my marriage, my business, my finances were a train wreck. And it led me to a discovery of everything I teach now, literally how the mind works. And I detail the entire thing in the book, The Broken Sage. My story, my collapse, and my rebirth. And for the last 18 years, I've been coaching high-performing professionals, executives, business owners to complete peace, contentment, peak efficiency with their mind. We eliminate anxiety, stress, depression, overwhelm. We don't medicate it. We don't distract it. We don't use things like Band-Aids, like meditation and positive thinking, all that stuff. We change the subconscious mind so that people perform at their peak in the zone every day. So let's jump into it. So why do high-performing executives, many of them, burn out, right? It's all a product of their mind. Everyone here has spent a day, no matter what you do for a living, let's say you're an executive, white-collar executive, right? And but you spent a day in your life doing manual labor, right? Whether it's installing a pool in the backyard, cutting the grass, edging, all that stuff, or maybe it's up on the roof, or maybe you build your projects and things. And you can do it all day long. You never get tired physically. The physical exertion, or take a construction worker who's out in the hot sun every single day, right? Maybe, climbing up and down ladders, pounding nails, moving wood, rock, stone, you name it, right? And they don't have a care in the world. And they go home and they got plenty of energy to play with their kids. The physical exertion, the workload, never is the reason for burnout. The reason for burnout is the taxation on the mind. Okay, every day that you're in the state of being of stress, overwhelm, pressure, fatigue, and then you go home and you're thinking about the project, you're thinking about the decision you need to make or have made already, and you're revisiting, and then you're exhausted at 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. or so, and you fall asleep, and yet 4 or 5 hours later, you wake up wide awake at 3 in the morning, and you're staring at the ceiling. And what are you doing? You're thinking more. And you're thinking about the project that you have to do. You're thinking about the deadline. You're thinking about the decision you made, who you have to hire, who you have to fire. And you're obsessively dwelling and ruminating on the subject at hand. You are literally working your mind to fatigue, to burnout. And that's why people burn out, because the pressure builds so much day after day. Now, let me back up a second here and just remind you, if you watch any episode, oh, by the way, make sure if you like these episodes, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss them, and always share it with people you know that are going to enjoy it. So, but let me back up, and this is what I always talk about. Whatever you feed your mind gives it back to you. Any subject in the world that you obsessively think about, your mind's job as your co-pilot, as your employee, the mind is only going to do what you would teach it to do. It gives you that subject back, okay? And then it creates what we call a state of being. But you consistently feed your mind through thought, through dwelling, through Google searches, through conversations, through everything. Whatever you give your mind gives you back, and the mind becomes it. So the subconscious mind is nothing more than everything you fed it your entire life. How do you feed it, right? You feed it through your circumstances, your environment, your experiences, things you've gone through, things that you sit and ruminate about. Let's flash back to when you were a teen, and let's say you played a sport. And you loved playing that sport, but you were panicked in fear about failing. And you played that sport, and then you had a bad game, and you failed. Maybe you struck out with the bases loaded in the last inning, right? And then you think about it. You ruminate on it. Or maybe you're afraid to take the final exam, or maybe the SAT or ACT to get in the college you want. And you study for it, but you spend weeks stressing over the outcome, worrying about the test. And then you take the test. And then you spend a few more days or whatever, how long it takes to get your score. And you're stressing and worrying. Well, all the while, it has nothing to do with the test, but you're sitting there feeding your mind this emotional distress. Or if you did strike out, you go home and like Michael Jordan, when he got cut from the varsity basketball team as a sophomore, he went home and cried for 3 days. His mom said, okay, now what are you going to do about it? Get your ass outside and practice. She's a brilliant woman, Mrs. Jordan. And, but it leaves a mark. And Michael Jordan said, I'm never going to have that happen to me again. He was smart. And he didn't get cut from the basketball team. He got cut from the varsity. And the guy that took his place, there's a little story here, but the guy that took his place was one of his good friends because they wanted a center on the team. And anytime Michael Jordan checked in the hotel during his basketball career, he used that guy's last name because he never wanted to feel that pain again. That's a good way to do it, right? That's what you feed your mind, resilience. But the burnt out executive, the person that's stressed and overwhelmed and fatigued, they keep regurgitating their problems. They keep just obsessively dwelling and revisiting the problem. Well, the mind is saying, sure, give me more, but you're taxing the mind. And then when the mind doesn't rest at night, when you're not sleeping well, or you never shut the mind off, you're never in the present, you're never void of this racing mind, the mind gets tired. And that's when the burnout happens, because it's nothing to do with your workload. It's nothing to do, like, executives come to me all the time. They say, Coach, I'm stressed so thin. I don't even know if I can do this program. I said, within 2 weeks of doing my program, you're going to feel like you have more time on your hands than you could ever remember. Why? Because your mind is quiet. You slow the mind down, you sleep. All these sleep studies and bullshit out there, guys, don't bother. It's if you're not sleeping at night or you're waking up after you fall asleep, you've got something on your mind, period, end of story. And your mind is racing. So when you wake up, like everyone does in the middle of the night, whether it's to go to the restroom or whether it's to, in between stages of REM, when your mind is clear, you fall right back asleep. When your mind is active, you're going to wake up and you're going to stay up. So the mind needs rest. But if you don't, and you keep taxing this mind with these stories and these subjects and this stuff, the mind becomes fatigued. Then your body becomes fatigued. There's no difference between the mind and the body. It's all one unit. And if you don't believe me, if you've ever been excited about going on vacation, or you're driving to the airport and you're going to Hawaii for 2 weeks, maybe you got some butterflies in your stomach, or a kid on Christmas Eve, right? They're bouncing off the wall of excitement. They're experiencing an emotion, having a physical reaction. Or, best example, right? If you're afraid to fly, that's an emotion of fear, but you have a physical, some people get physically sick, nauseous, sweating, right? When they fly or when they public speak, and they don't like that. There's vomit bags on airplanes for a reason. The mind-body connection, it's all one unit. So if you are taxing your mind, you're going to be in a state of being fatigued. Now your body's going to affect. And now you said to yourself, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to snap, and you're right. And then you have burnout or a breakdown. Many, many clients come to us that are on a leave of absence from a breakdown. It's all emotional. It's not physical. It has nothing to do with your workload. It has everything to do with what you're feeding your mind, and you consistently feed your mind. Your mind's in that state of being now, and the mind's giving it back to you. And this is the dangerous place, right? This is the, when people start developing memory loss. They're not sleeping at night. They start losing weight, or they stop exercising. They start gaining a lot of weight. They're literally, this resistance is expanding, and they become a different version of themselves. They're moodier. They're angry, because we're hardwired for happiness as human beings. And when we're not experiencing that happiness, we're not experiencing that happiness, we're going to go looking for it. So distractions like food or alcohol to take the edge off, or drugs or prescription drugs, or the Ambien to sleep, that garbage, bullshit garbage. And all the while, it's just because your mind is running a program that you fed it. You didn't mean to. Maybe mom and dad, like my family, were Hall of Fame fighters, and you grew up in an environment of anger and hate and whatever. So your mind is trained throughout childhood, and especially through childhood, but then your whole life. Then you wake up at 40, 45 years old, you're successful, but you're fatigued, you're tired, you're burnt out. It has everything to do with the mind. So it's not about relieving your workload, getting a project done, all the bullshit, taking a vacation, because that's a temporary distraction too. It is all about bringing your mind back to a healthy place. That's what we do with our clients. That's why I say within 2-3 weeks, you're going to be sleeping like a baby. You're going to have more time in your hands than ever before. You're going to have more clarity, mental clarity, and your body's going to respond. You'll have more energy. You'll have more vibrancy, more, you'll be more vital, more vitality. And all because the mind is training, but you can't keep poisoning your mind. And it's what leads to Alzheimer's. It leads to dementia. It leads to illness, right? And people who are emotionally taxed and overwhelmed, they don't look physically healthy. You could see it on their face. Many of my clients come in, they say, Coach, I've lost my color to my face. I don't recognize myself anymore. My spouse doesn't recognize me. I'm irritated and agitated all the time. It's just not what I want to be. Well, every day that you keep running uphill and you keep trying to get everything done, you keep adding your workload and just keep grinding it out, you're a ticking time bomb. You're going to spontaneously combust in one way, shape, or form. Either your health is going to be affected, your results, your job, your career is going to be affected, your family is going to be affected, your marriage is going to be affected. Whatever it is, it's not going to be good. So you've got to start taking care of your mind. So here's a simple tool. Now, at the end of this video, we'll have a link if you want to learn more, if you want our help in doing this, my help and my team's help. Click on the link below. You can schedule a call. We'll discuss it. And listen, if you're educated, even if you're not educated, it doesn't matter. But if you put the time in to build your business and you've built a life of success, and you've got a family, you've got people counting on you to be your best, then you better take this stuff serious. And if you're watching this podcast, you made it this long, then you probably listening to it. You probably do take yourself serious. You're looking for the answer. So if you want our help getting there and getting it right the first time, click that button below, nolimitsnation.com/book. But here are some things that you could start to do to start to alleviate that pressure in the mind, that what leads to burnout and leads to abscess and breakdowns. Number one, you got to be really clear on what you're feeding your mind. You can't have a bad day, and you can, because you do, but you can't have a bad day and go home and talk about it with your spouse. You can't sit at the water cooler in the coffee break room and just bitch and moan about everything. And the client, the pain in the ass client that won't cooperate, or I'm waiting for this deal to close. I'm not, we've got the RFP out there and we're waiting. All the crap that people obsess about, you can't. You've got to understand, like, okay, I'm going to do what I need to do and I'm going to perform at my best, and that's it. And if I have a bad day, then I'm not going to go home and revisit that bad day, because the mind will only thinks in the present. And every time you keep giving it, okay, these subjects, it's going to become exactly that. It creates the state of being, the habit that you're in. And if you're going to, like, a counselor, a therapist, and they keep trying to identify what's wrong by going back in your childhood, that's fruitless, number one, and it's toxic, number two, because you keep revisiting the pain from 20, 30, 40 years ago and bring it to the present. It makes no sense. The mind's like, sure, I'll give you more pain. I'll give you more wondering. You're struggling. I'll give you more struggle. Whatever you give your mind, it gives it back to you. It doesn't have an opinion. It doesn't have judgment, the subconscious mind. It takes you, give it, and becomes it. So every day you spend in that toxic place, you're asking your mind to give you more. Okay, so you've got to stop. Clean up your diet. Clean up the diet for the mind. And there's nothing to do with supplements, all that garbage. If anybody tells you meditation is a nice tool to calm and clear the mind, but now we've got guided meditation. Meditation is supposed to be emptying of the mind, not listening to music to relax. Most meditation has become a relaxation technique, which is you can relax by, having a drink to take the edge off, walking around a pond or a lake, literally listening to a good song while you drive your convertible. That's relaxing, but your mind will return back to what you trained it to be. So all of those are fruitless. And the supplements, and somebody says you got to eat better, you got to do this better. It's garbage. So start feeding your mind healthy things. Start being really selective. Start focusing on the outcome you want, what's important, and start teaching your mind that everything works out. Everything's going to be okay. I'm going to stay in a state of being of acceptance. Acceptance is the zone in the flow state. Everything's fine. You have a choice. Michael Jordan had a choice. Like, okay, I'm going to sit and wallow. I'm going to feel sorry for myself the whole year. Or no, I'm going to do what my mom says. Get your ass out there, work. Make sure it never happens to you again. So Michael Jordan did that. So he told his mind, I'm going to be the best there ever was. And he went out and he worked for it, right? All the great ones, they put the extra work in, right? And when I learned these techniques 19 years ago, when I started to learn them, I was obsessed with them. And I put the work in, man. I said, I'm going to have a successful life. I'm going to have a good life. I'm going to bust my ass to get there. And I did. So Michael Jordan just worked his ass off. By the end of that basketball season, the varsity team would show up early and watch the JV team play because of Michael Jordan. And he never got cut again. Okay, and the rest was history. And because he taught his mind a different way. You've got to treat your mind like an employee. You've got to set the tone, you've got to set the objectives, and you've got to keep reinforcing that with your mind. And because you taught your mind beliefs that work is stress, this whole world, if you think of the word work, it's a 4-letter word, man. And on Sunday afternoon it starts, you're dreading the week ahead. And then by Friday afternoon, you get some freedom for 48 hours. That's it. That's training of the mind. Waiting for the other shoe to drop, that's a paradigm, right? Thank God it's Friday is a paradigm. I don't like Mondays as a paradigm. Work equals stress. You wanna be successful, you better bust your ass. That's a paradigm. And they're all bullshit beliefs. I know a ton of very successful people, and once they come to my program, they're successful, fulfilled, happy, and productive. But that don't kill themselves. I don't work. I haven't worked in 18 years. Every day I perform at my career, but I love it. It's not work. It's fulfillment. It's impact. It's purpose. So every day I work with my clients, it's not work. It's enjoyment. I'm not woken up one day in the last 18 years and, oh, I've got to go to work. Oh, man. And I enjoy leisure activities. I'm an avid golfer. I like spending time with my wife, my family, and doing things outside of my job. I love my job. I never dread it, and it never gets old. Okay, I've coached thousands of people through this work, and I do private coaching calls with people, and never once have I gotten tired of it. Not once have I said, oh, I've got to teach this again? Because I get to change lives. But that's the way I trained my mind 20 years ago, 19 years ago, to perform at its peak, and you need to start doing the same. So get your mind out of the gutter. The gutter is your circumstances. Your gutter is your projects. Your gutter is your workload. Your gutter is being stretched too thin. Get your mind out of the gutter and start feeding it healthy and start training your mind that you've got more time, you've got more efforts, and stop just wallowing around. Woe is me, I've got this workload, because that's what's creating the burnout. Okay? And once your mind gets healthy, you're going to have more time on your hands. You're going to have more freedom mentally. And I know it's hard for you to see when you're in this dark space, but even to listen to all this, this audio here, that's a challenge for you when you're burned out. But I can tell you there's another way. Again, if you want our help, click the link below, nolimitnation.com/book, and we'll see you on the next episode.